Did you know that an unhealthy relationship with your mother can leave lasting emotional and psychological effects, often resulting in patterns that influence your relationships, behavior, and self-perception? Hi, I'm Alina. Welcome to my channel, where I talk about emotional healing, personal growth, and spirituality, and I guide both myself and you towards understanding your patterns for a happier, peaceful, and pattern-free life. In my previous video, I talked about how the early mother-child relationship can influence your life, and in today's video, I want to focus on patterns that an unhealthy bond with your mother can lead you to have in adulthood. Mother-child relationship is the earliest and most significant relationship that we form in life. But when that relationship is full of criticism, neglect, emotional unavailability, this can lead you to develop patterns that may follow you into adulthood. So I was honestly surprised. I realized that I had almost all of these following patterns. So what I did to gain more insight and process them, I journal about them. It took me 3 days of intense journaling, but this experience has been incredibly enlightening. I wrote down each pattern and reflected on a specific life situation where I unconsciously acted on it. Then I explored a new perspective that helped me to reframe this pattern. So let's get started. The first pattern is low self-esteem and diminished sense of self-worth. You might find yourself engaging in negative self-talk, feeling like you are not good enough. Perfectionism also can take hold. You believe that you have to excel in everything to earn love or approval. And then there's the difficulty of accepting compliments. Maybe someone says something kind about you and your first reaction is dismiss it or feeling undeserving. These feelings might arise because in childhood, love might felt conditional, based on performance or behavior rather than who you are. If you had to earn your mother's love or approval, you might develop people-pleasing tendencies. You overextend yourself, prioritizing others' people's needs over your own, often to avoid conflict or rejection. Saying no becomes almost impossible because you fear abandonment or upsetting others. Validation seeking becomes an habit. You rely on external affirmation to feel worthy rather than find that within yourself. This is exhausting and leaves little room for your own needs or desires. Many of us learn to suppress emotions when we weren't validated as children. You might express how you feel, worried that it might lead to judgment or conflict. Over time, this can lead you to disconnect from your own emotions, struggling to process or understand how you feel. Bottling emotion can become second nature for you, and this can result in outbursts or numbness. The key here is in recognizing that your feelings are valid and they need space and attention. Boundaries are crucial, but when you grow up in unhealthy dynamics, they can feel foreign or even selfish. You might become over-involved in other people's emotions, feeling responsible and trying to fix what they feel. This can lead to accept toxic behavior like manipulation or mistreatment because you feel that you don't have the right to push back. Over time, resentment builds. Your needs are not being met, but you might not know how to express this. Fear of abandonment is a powerful and common pattern. You might struggle with clinginess and fearing separation in a relationship. Overanalyzing relationships becomes a habit, and you question all the time if others really care about you. To avoid conflict and keep the relationship intact, you might suppress your own needs and feelings. This fear can lead you to be stuck in unhealthy dynamics because you're afraid of letting go. If you were put in caregiving roles at a young age, this might lead you to develop overdeveloped sense of responsibility. This is called parentification, where you felt like you needed to be your own parent or a parent to your mother. You might also lean towards hyperindependence, believing that you can do everything by yourself and you don't need others. Guilt often accompanies this as you blame yourself for other people's problems or unhappiness. You might have relationship struggles as patterns that we learned in childhood, they repeat in adulthood, leading you to have relationship struggles. You might find yourself drawn to toxic partners who mirror the relationship that you had in your early childhood. On the flip side, fear of intimacy can keep you at a distance, avoiding connections to protect yourself. Codependency can also develop, where you become overly reliant on others. Recognizing these patterns is the first step to break free from these cycles. When trust was broken early on, it might be difficult to rebuild it later in life. You might struggle with a general distrust of others, always expecting manipulation or betrayal. Hypervigilance becomes a habit, always scanning for signs of rejections or criticism. This often leads to difficulty of opening up and guarding yourself emotionally. Trust takes time, but it's possible to rebuild it one little step at a time. Sometimes we turn to negative coping mechanisms to deal with the pain due to these patterns. Self-sabotage, undermining your own success, can stem from the feeling of unworthiness. Addictive behaviors like overeating, overworking, or substance abuse might serve as a temporary fix. Procrastination or avoidance can also emerge as you feel a fear of failure. These are symptoms of deeper wounds, not character flaws. If your mother was often critical, you might have internalized that voice. You might find yourself echoing her criticism in your own thoughts. Her self-judgment becomes the norm, and you become overly critical of your mistakes or shortcomings. Striving for approval through overworking or overachieving can feel like the only way to prove your worth. An unhealthy mother-child relationship can also fuel anxiety and overthinking. Catastrophizing becomes common, and you always assume the worst-case scenario in all the situations. You might hyperfixate on gaining approval, analyze every type of interaction to make sure that other people are happy. Fear of making mistakes can lead you to decision paralysis or self-doubt. And finally, you might develop a difficulty with self-care. You might neglect your own needs, seeing as rest, nutrition, or emotional well-being as non-important. There's often a sense of feeling undeserving, like self-care is selfish or indulgent. Overcommitting becomes a way to distract yourself, focusing on tasks rather than personal fulfillment. Just remember, self-care isn't selfish, it's essential. If any of these patterns resonate with you, just know that you're not alone. These behaviors are survival mechanisms, but they don't have to define you. Awareness is the first step towards healing. Therapy, journaling, and surrounding yourself with healthy people can also help. If you found this video helpful, just give me a thumbs up and comment in the section below which pattern do you resonate the most. And don't forget to subscribe for more content on personal growth and self-healing. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video where I'm gonna be exploring the second question of my childhood programming series.